some bold predictions for your 2025 Minnesota Vikings. First, we're going to talk about the division, the NFC North. I think the Vikings are going to win the North. The Detroit Lions, they're the favorites, I'm sure. Why wouldn't they be? They won the division last year. They smacked the Vikings twice last year, as well as to end the season going into the playoffs. But the Lions, new offensive coordinator, and the offensive line is going through a little bit of a scramble where they lost their center, Frank Ragnow, to retirement, as well as right guard Kevin Zeitler. He is now with the Tennessee Titans. So because of the lack of continuity there, I think there's going to be some growing pains in Detroit to where the only thing the Vikings have new is the quarterback position, JJ McCarthy, which I understand is a big deal, but he has been studying the playbook for a year. And with the upgrades that we have at the offensive line, practically everywhere, but the offensive line and the defensive line, the upgrades, even though this is a new team for them, guys like Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, what have you, the Vikings, I think, are in a much better spot to actually go further than the Lions this year. The Green Bay Packers, I talked about in the last video how Micah Parsons, the trade for Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers is actually a good thing for the Vikings. Go ahead and check it out if you haven't seen it. They're going to be able to run the ball. The Vikings are. They're going to be able to run the ball against Green Bay. And I understand that the Vikings are playing at Green Bay in November, so it's really cold there, and the Vikings aren't known to be very strong in cold weather games. However, this is a cold weather quarterback, if need be. This is a guy who grew up in Illinois and played his college football at Michigan. He is more than ready for those cold games. I think they also played the Giants in November, late November, maybe December at MetLife Stadium, and it's not going to matter. The Chicago Bears, they should be, in theory, a much better team compared to what they were under former head coach Matt Eberflus, now led by first-year head coach Ben Johnson. The Vikings have one of the better rosters in the league. There's no debate there wherever you want to power rank them, whether it's top 10 or top 7, so be it. The Bears are nowhere close to that. And they are going to need a couple of years to gel in this new system led by Ben Johnson, that I predict that the Vikings will sweep Chicago. They will also sweep Green Bay. And worst case scenario, they will split the series against the Detroit Lions. The Minnesota Vikings will win the NFC North. The NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Football has never been more exciting than it is now, with players like CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson, etc. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. Use promo code Randy and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And to further expand on my prediction, saying that the Vikings will win the NFC North, I'm going to say that they will get to not win, or not necessarily win, but I will say that they will get to the NFC Championship game. It's time, man. It's now or never. If not now, when? We've got to see some progress with this regime talking about winning playoff games. And I think that starts with this 2025 season. In the NFC East, the only threat there is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Washington Commanders are really good, but I think they're going to take a step down because they now have Laramie Tunsil as their left tackle, who is pretty good when he's not committing penalties. He was one of the worst offensive tackles last year in terms of committing penalties. And to have Debo Samuel, Mr. Drop himself, to be your wide receiver too. And look, you still have Scary Terry. You signed him to that extension. Good for you. But to have Debo Samuel, who did nothing but drop passes his last year in San Francisco, to be your wide receiver too for Jaden Daniels, I just think you're setting yourself up between Laramie Tunsil and Debo Samuel to kill drives, to kill your own drives that you're going to get in your own way. So in the NFC East, talking about the playoffs, I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously they are the threat, the only threat. In the NFC South, I think the Bucks would be tough. They will be a tough team. In fact, in the NFC South, they are likely going to be the only team to make the playoffs. And in the NFC West, I'm not buying the 49ers at all. The LA Rams, they are a threat compared, or they're a threat along with the Eagles. So, really, only two teams in the NFC, and only two teams in the NFC that are legitimate threats, with the Buccaneers slightly behind. It is time, man. Win playoff games. Hell, win a playoff game for fudge's sake. I think this is the year that they do it.